we have a stack area here, and then we come around the corner, and then we also have a stack area here. Especially with the little guys, the main thing that we're trying to do is keep the passenger side on concrete where we don't have children crossing traffic. So if you start to count across the front, we have a drop off on the middle school, that's one, and then if we go across here, all of these parking spaces, the parent can park, the child can get out of the car, get on a sidewalk, and not have to cross traffic. So we have we have 11 different places for a youngster to be dropped off, that they get on the sidewalk and they do not have to cross traffic. So back to the elementary side, this is a one-way. We do have a bypass lane. So once your child exits the vehicle, you can bypass the stack and go back out the way that you came, back out to the north. This will be staff parking, and then staff will take up this parking here. The center portion of this during the day will be left open for parents and visitors to come to the school. Same thing here, middle school staff will park here, also here, and then back here, leaving the front open for visitors and parents. Also on the elementary side, we've got on the northeast corner of the property is where we're looking at putting the new bus barn. So this is the size of the bus barn, and this is our stack space for drop off and pickup of kids. We've got a large area of concrete that separates that from the vehicle drop off. We also have a fence that separates the two. So we can't have a kid that gets out of a car, go and get on a bus, or some kid that gets off of a bus, cross across here and go across the traffic. So a child that gets off the bus here will have to walk this way to where the main entrance is in this inside corner here. So we'll fence that off and keep the kids separated from parent drop off and bus drop off. This is the dumpsters for the elementary, and the cafeteria side is located here. Our other set of dumpsters for the middle school located on this side of the campus as well. So the buses will stack here, pick up the kids, we'll leave one of two ways. We're still looking to see if this is going to be a possibility of going to the east and then back to the north. If that doesn't work out, the buses will loop back around, and then this lane right here is a bus-only lane that they will exit the north at this location. The buses will also come back into the campus going on this same bus lane here so that they do not interact with this traffic. We will have a slight little interaction here at the exit, but I don't think that's going to be an issue. So especially if this works out great, then our buses can come out and go out this way. So moving to the middle school side, middle school will come in from the west entry, go around this two-way, and we'll have the same thing. We have a secondary stack space here, but then we turn and then we line up and we can line up all the way up to here and get kids out of vehicles without having to cross traffic. We also have a bypass lane that's there, so once you drop your child off, you can get into the bypass lane and get out of the congestion. And then we also have this back parking lot as well. This is also going to be a practice field for the band, and also for parent parking for large events, for open house, meet your teacher, nighttime events, and Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners, parking in the back. This is cafeteria staff. This is the loading dock, or the loading area for the 18-wheeler for the cafeteria, which is right here. And then this is the kitchen, and then this is the dining room. So this side does have two-way traffic, so people that park here can either exit out the one-way, or they can go on the outside and exit out the two-way to get out back to the north. What this arrangement does for us is our playground is here. We don't have a continuous loop around the school because we don't want the little guys crossing traffic to get to the playground. So when they come out, they have an exit right here and an exit right here to come to this playground, so there's no traffic to be dealt with coming to the playground area. And then for the middle school side, we've got another playground here, and then we've got a a shaded area located here for the teachers to monitor, where they can monitor both from one spot. Also, this will give the band kids and staff some heat relief during August. So, total parking comes out to 274 spaces. These are 10-foot spaces. They are roomy. We can do 11 and 12. We can reduce the number if we think this is too high. I also have approximately 6 foot extra between these two. So I drive a large pickup, so I usually design spaces that I can park my truck. So we're not doing compact parking spaces here. They should be roomy and easy to get in and out. We will also have a walk that will go to the parking lot to the south for the high school kids and other traffic that's coming from the high school to the cafeteria to get across that space. We can have an all-weather walk. Any questions?
I do.
Yes, sir.
You've got a lot of parking spots here, and you're trying to deviate the kids from this rear parking. Is it smart to put all that parking on this initial build, or leave that all as playground? Because if you ever came to the school, I think we got a whole lot more parking spots when we do cars, and a whole lot more kids when we have cars, and that would raise a concern to me when we're trying to keep everybody away from the kids. Should we give them that area outside with shade, playground, swings? Because our elementary has a huge impact on the school.
Right.
Should we make that more playground? I mean, because asphalt's not cheap, concrete's not cheap right now, and make that future expansion for a parking lot.
That is, this is, as far as
That way
this
it keeps
being
all the
used,
Sure, I'm sorry.
while school is in session, I really don't see a whole lot of people parking.
Sure.
I don't think we'll need it at all. There'd be a few people that wanna park out here because it's
Sure.
open.
But I'd rather give it back to the kids than I want to park.
But
there
it is gonna be
before.
used for the band kids, now that the band hall is also located at this location.
Okay, I thought the front parking was for the band.
No, this is the band hall, so that allows them to go, we'll stripe this, it's gonna
Sure.
be striped like a parking lot, it'll also be striped like a football
Can
field.
we do that in the front for the band? And give the kids more in the back?
If we did that in the front, we would not have the separation that we have from traffic.
Sure.
This is a definite no kid zone, as far as I'm concerned, as far as parking goes. But this will also be used on nights and day events where we have a lot of parents and family and grandparents coming to the school. So it's gonna be used intermittently on those days, but the average school day, this will be empty. But it is also gonna double as the band. And part of that could be, this could be part of the playground for the older kids. We could put basketball goals and things
Sure.
like that along that area, so we can get a double whammy out of that.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
On that exit from the middle school side, it looks pretty narrow. Is that one car can go through there, or the bypass lane and the other car can both fit through there?
Are we talking about here? Or where are we talking about?
That northeast,
The
no.
northeast?
down, left, right there.
Right there, okay.
Is that enough for 2 cars or 1?
That's enough for 2.
Okay.
There's almost 3 here.
Okay,
And then, but I still wanna squeeze it down just to kinda get people in their minds to slow down a little bit.
that's fine. I just didn't want it to be 1.
No, it's room for 2.
Okay.
It's not as roomy as this, but it's more of a visual thing, just to kind of tell people they need to slow down. Cause we do have traffic going this way and traffic coming in. It's not by any means a high volume type situation, but I just want everybody to kind of pay attention a little bit. You give them too much room, speed usually goes up, yeah.
I have a question, just so I can get a visual. If they have a middle school student and an elementary student, what's the flow gonna look like if they're picking up the middle school kid and then going over to the elementary to pick up the elementary kid, or vice versa?
So they would actually have to exit if that happened. My suggestion on part of that would be if you had 2, these front lots would be perfect.
So just tell parents if you have
Tell those
double.
parents to go park. And from my experience with the drop off, and if we just have those parents that do that, and maybe your kid's got a cast on or something
Sure.
like that. These are gonna be open enough, I think you can tell your kid, I'm gonna park right here every day, and so y'all come and find me.
The way it's set up now, we have lots of parents that, stop in the end of the elementary, wait for their middle school kid, and then flow through on the way. So I just
Right.
wanna make sure it's,
That scenario would be ideal if those
Just park.
parents would park in the front and have the kids come to the car.
perfect.
Are there different bills? Like, are they released at different times, like LISD does? First grade gets out
Not
at
currently.
22, 24.
I think high school is just a little,
Because I know LISD works with you if you tell your oldest kid, their teacher will let them leave to go to the younger kid and walk out together. So then the parent, that's Lubbock.
Yeah, and the inside is open, and even if the bell rings at the same time, you could have a middle school kid travel and come out with his sibling, on the other side. That's something that could
We
be
have to
happening.
school board, that would make it better for the parent.
Sure.
it's just a matter of the first weeks of school deciphering who's gonna be picked up by who, telling the parents to park in the front,
Yep.
making it easier.
And when I do new schools, we always come up with a traffic diagram, and we send that out for and the first week, please understand, the first week is gonna be crazy. It doesn't matter what we do. But we will send out diagrams that say we'll maybe have something like that. If you have two kids, please make arrangements to meet them in the parking lot. We'll put those kinds of things in that to go home with the kids before the first day of school. Most schools, it takes about a week for everybody to get, and especially on the elementary side, what happens is that you're dropping off a kid for the first time and trying to get him to go out and he's crying and things like that. So we understand those, and that's what kind of causes the problem. But as the year moves on, with the stackable space and a place to park, it usually works fairly well.
On the buses, are they gonna drop off and unload at one spot, or are you just stacking them and they're unloading where they're stacked? Cause I don't think that's very safe, because if you got some of our lovely children that just dart off, whatever, even though there's a sidewalk there, I think it would be better like we do now, you unload at a certain spot, instead of us stacking there, and then the kids are walking on the sidewalk. That's what keeps little Johnny from chasing his little paper, or he sees his little buddy, or whatever goes through their mind, and going between the buses.
And really what you do is you come in and those ones at the front, unload right there.
Like we let them out there and then leave,
Right, and
and
then
then
go
the next
park
one
at the
comes
bus
and
barn.
unload. So we're not unloading like that back one's not unloading at the back of the sidewalk back.
We haven't got that far yet, but more than likely, what I would think we would do is
I
just
would
like,
think that would not be very safe.
just like we do now, just unload there
Unload
at the
a
front.
certain spot to unload
Mhm.
and then go.
And then go
I
park
think
it.
that would be best.
And then have them stack back up at the end of the day.
Yes.
Our bus mechanics line them back up, and so they're lined up 1 through 10, or 1 through
Right.
8, whatever, so
I would agree.
they're in the same spot every day. 'Cause
Right.
you're gonna come in a different order every day, depending on who rides and who doesn't ride, so.
Depends on how early Carson leaves.
That's right. So, I envision it as
I'm
those
proud
ones
of
up
you.
there out front, that's where you're gonna unload. Everybody, high school, everybody's gonna get off there.
Right.
And then you peel around and go park it, over there at the bus barn. And then 2 o'clock every day, we have somebody line the buses back
I
up.
think that sounds good.
So same question for the parent drop off. Are we unloading all of those cars at one time? Or will it be like in the elementary, we have 2 or 3 teachers out, Ms. Cooper out in the front, opening doors, just 2 at a time, so we can kind of visualize kids. Will we be unloading all of those cars that are lined up on that side at once? Just get out, your parents just let you out and you come to the sidewalk, or?
That will be a procedure that will
We
have to
can
be
have-
decided on, and then you have to enforce it, so.
Sure.
um,
And I know middle schools, they're different.
Right.
Elementary, we
Different.
just try to
Right.
kind of facilitate their way in.
Yep. And we have, so for both of these, we have an entry and exit on both ends of these hallways. So maybe that first couple of weeks when it's a little bit more difficult and we're stacked up and we're not moving the way we want, maybe we let some kids get out on this side and come in this door as opposed to the other door. I think it's gonna find its own way.
Sure.
It's probably the way we want it to work the first couple of weeks will not be how we're trying to do it 6 weeks into the system.
And we can have more hands on deck if we're not doing breakfast in the classroom. More
Right.
teachers could come help get kids in.
And you're not getting away from the building. Everything is right there, right at the door. We also, there's a large porch area that's over here as well, so for bad weather days, we're gonna have places that when you come out, that you can get underneath the porch and wait for your parents to come and get you, so.
I don't wanna lose that for the elementary, cause I know that makes our day and it makes the kids' day, that they get to see our faces in the mornings and we get to see them,
Sure.
and I don't want that to go away.
Is this designed for the current size of the school, or
No.
how big will this go to?
So we've got growth for over 100 kids inside this facility. And that's with every teacher having their own classroom. You can adjust for probably, if you have teachers that don't have homerooms, and I'm not an expert on this, but I have some knowledge of it, but if we start floating between classrooms, let's say if we have a large growth, we could probably get that to 200 kids before we have a problem.
Well, I see that going pretty quick since how we've got development starting, on the west side, and most households, 2 to 3 kids per household.
Right.
And when you do the math, that's quick.
It's fast, yes. It's a good problem to have.
It is, but I think we need to be proactive about it.
Any other questions, concerns?
Just out of curiosity, if you go from 200 to 750, where would you add on to?
So on this
Or we need to
one,
find land to sell? No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. So we have expansion here. We can also, both of these hallways on both sides can expand. It would change the parking somewhat. We have a perfect place to expand this wing and also this wing to the south.
Sure.
Now, there's that scenario, and then there's other scenarios out there that if you have that kind of growth, we're also gonna have a high school problem. And so, one of the schemes that we're looking at is that if this building gets full, we potentially look at a high school, and the high school becomes the middle school, so then this building just got twice as big, because we're
Sure.
moving the middle school kids out into the high school. So that's really, if that happens the way it's supposed to across the interstate, that's probably the best option.
That's good to know.
And we've been working on this for 3 years now, so it's been a process, and, can't happen quick enough for any of us in the room. We want to get going, and, it's been a lot of hard work to get to this point, and I appreciate what Craig's done, and, community support for this, because obviously it was a much needed addition to our community and our school. We're excited about it. It's gonna be really nice for our kids.
So this has been through, all the teachers have had a chance to look at this, now does it go to the teachers for final review, or?
We have, I don't know if the teachers have seen the traffic portion of this yet. The building itself, yes, they have seen it. So,
And then the community?
the community will get involved now, because when that's sitting there without parking lots, things, it's
Right.
kind of hard to know. If somebody's not there to kind of explain, it's hard to.
We can put this on
to know.
Facebook.
But, yeah, we have,
Put it
all
out.
this is an electronic version, so it can now go out and people can understand and kind of see how the things work, on that, so.
Do y'all have a committee together, like, that knows construction, that knows building, that, I know two over there, like, have people, y'all have reached out and people look at this, like, truly? Or do we have a committee put together?
Well, Craig, this is what he does.
Right,
Okay.
right.
As you know, I've built a lot of buildings myself.
That's what we're paying Craig to do.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, but it doesn't hurt to have any, put it in the community.
Absolutely, that's what we're getting
Send
tonight.
us good Facebook.
Yeah, do yours.
Not everybody Facebook's, man.
Yes, sir. Well, give us our input.
And
It's kinda hard to right there when you can't look at it any closer now.
Right.
The roads aren't broke down, I can't see it.
yeah, and that's why it hasn't gone out yet, because it's just getting to the phase to where it's semi-understandable to people that don't do this for a living. So, from this point on, it will.
So is the ag barn on there, or do we have to wait till the high school's built to move that over there too?
So the ag barn is not part of this bond.
So are we gonna have an ag department? Because that's kind of pissed me off. Or do we get the old bus barn? Because it's newer than the ag barn.
The old bus barn is part of the space that becomes available if
For the ag department?
is a new high school is required, just like with the elementary.
We are getting.
We're a farm community.
We need to, we need to remove that heavy traffic element from the center of the campus. I'm not saying it doesn't need it, that you don't need it, or it doesn't belong somewhere, but in the middle of the campus is
Well,
what
we
we're
already
trying
lost
to
our
get away
ag
from.
teacher, so I'm afraid y'all aren't even gonna replace that.
So I thought the whole purpose of this bond being passed, as from my perspective, was to, you know, enhance our kids and enhance their learning and education and give them more space without taking away, but adding to.
We're taking away the old elementary.
Are you taking away the ag department?
No,
No, absolutely.
That, I have had zero discussion about it. I mean, we had 4 public meetings and I never mentioned the word ag.
Okay.
I promise.
It doesn't
So-
sound like there's a concern for it, though, or that's.
She's worried about the building, it's all run down, she's worried about that, it's just,
crap.
there's gonna be
We
nothing.
don't even keep our animals out there where y'all have, and no one even mows it, and I thought that was part of the property, like the whole school district. We're,
It's
It's mowed. It's pretty much right now.
We spend a tremendous amount of money out there.
yeah, after we started, because we already complained about it at the beginning.
It's not a very pretty building.
Over here.
You talking about the ag building here, you talking about the ag farm?
Yeah, the ag farm.
We just have to put fences up and we spent some money out there.
I mean, that's good after a lot of our animals die from being eaten from dogs.
That's the first one that
And did we fix it? Did we fix that problem?
Little late, but yeah, I guess it is now, but it still was not mowed, was it?
It is now.
It is now.
And it will stay.
But it's not even part of this plan, and that concerns me after losing an ag teacher.
Well, this plan is the bond issue that we put up, so this is exactly what the bond was for.
It doesn't mean that
This
this
is
ag
first
space
phase.
is not, it's still an issue, it's just not part of the plan.
This is the first phase, first step.
Because, I mean, vocational ag is a big difference. It's a big difference. It's one of the areas to really prepare kids for those that are not going to school. Not everybody's gonna go to college. Not everybody's gonna work in an office, you know? And, you know, there just needs to be opportunity.
It's coming.
So, yeah.
What is the prospective time frame on the football field as being completed?
I have no idea, I'm not involved.
Oh, you're not involved in that?
1st of August.
1st of August, with a new name? Or do we get a vote on that? Or do we not need to say,
We're not gonna address that this time.
every meeting you're not gonna address it?
No, not this time, no.
Every meeting?
Should we be engaged in these conversations? No, I'm sorry. I wanna talk, but we can't.
So is it on the agenda, will it be put on for the next one?
There we go.
Or what they're doing? Changing the name, you know, getting that down.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
I put it on
Why
the
not?
agenda.
Then we'll put it on the agenda, that's
Hey,
fine.
I like
Quit
that.
sucking on his tit.
Hey, we don't need that.
No.
No,
Y'all- y'all gotta stop.
We can use a civil time in here, or we can leave, that's easy. Okay, thank you.
We are fed up. Y'all work for us,
I understand.
not for him.
Who's him?
Who do you think?
I don't know.
The guy who's been pulling your strings for
Nobody
all
pulls
these
my
years.
strings, bud, nobody. Nobody ever has.
Yeah, they have. He's the one calling all the shots, and that's why y'all been giving him all this money.
Why is it such a problem to change the name?
And what justified a state?
That's it.
We need to move on.
Just move on, sir.
Okay.
You have anything else on
That's
construction?
it, that's it.
Thanks, sir.
Thank y'all.
Moving on to the financial report.
Okay, attached are the monthly reports that you generally receive, I believe the first, the general fund report. To me, receive state revenue where our local revenues kind of drop off. It's just the way that the cycle goes. And nothing's really specifically stands out that much. The only thing for this month, if you'll notice under function 71, debt services, the payment for our buses is in that mix. Other than that, everything is pretty well normal, so to speak. And then we've got the attached documentation that goes along with that. Our food service fund is same thing there. One thing I want to mention there that we did receive, it's called a supply chain grant. Basically, it's state money that they sent us for $20,338. You'll see that on that revenue listing. So that's additional money that will help us there. So we had monthly revenues of $67,000 and expenditures of $41,000. Again, as we've talked about these before, we have a pending claim standing out there. I like to mention that at the bottom it's the April claim that comes in. Actually, we received in May for $41,355. So that puts us on par. I think we're in pretty good shape for our food service fund. Attachments are there as well for our food service report. Then we've got our capital projects and interest sinking funds. The only thing there that's changed, of course, we haven't spent any money on any bond items or anything like that yet. There's a little bit of interest that was gained in those accounts. Cash investments in our general local fund, we've got $5,540,662. We've got $60,000 in food service, employee insurance, which is what funds our self-funded dental plans. Got $38,000 there. Workers' comp fund is $13,000, and concessions is $5,282 for total cash of $5,657,991. And then also there the interest in sinking funds and capital project funds. That's basically bond related stuff listed there as well. And then you'll see the attached check registers. Those first couple of pages, again, are the postings of items like our IRS payroll taxes, our TRS payments, and those are really routine items as well. When you go through the sheets, there's a couple of things that are just high numbers. There's a lot of food service that was paid this month, $22,000 worth of food service items. Just scan it.
Last page, 67,000 for bleachers.
That's part of the initial stuff that we've got from them. So, and that is the only major things that I see that stand out.
Has this 22-23 administrative budget been approved yet?
22-23 administrative budget will be approved in August. We're a September 1 fiscal year, and so all that happens basically during August.
Okay, and it'll be open to the public?
Oh, yeah. There'll be usually what the way it works is we have a budget workshop where all the details of that are gone through in early August, and then we'll have a final meeting that approves the budget and sets the tax rate in the later August meeting. And that's all stuff that's currently is what I'm concentrating on right now, is working towards that and getting that thing as far as that, compensation plans, everything else kind of comes all together along with that budget, so.
What's the deadline to submit stuff for that budget?
To submit stuff
Well, just like to answer her question about the ag, you've got good ag students that know how to do this. So if they need supplies to redo their ag farm, if they need $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, then she can take her son or daughter or that kid out there to kind of get an evaluation of what they need to do. And you've got students who can learn how to do it so they're hireable when they come out of the school. Is that something that can be proposed to that budget, or does that need to go? I don't know.
No, definitely. So like currently right now, we've got a couple of things, they're being
considered. Of course, we've got stuff from maintenance, and I'm, you know, we're definitely open and
Sure,
listening to
sure.
any needs.
But I guess to answer her question, if they take their kids, these kids own this ag farm, you put a gate, you put this is my pigs, this is my cows, horses, whatever this may be, and hey, this is what it's gonna take, coach, whatever, to get us back to where we need to be, so we're not unopposed to shoot, what's 10 grand to give them a beautiful facility.
Oh, yeah.
And they own it. I mean, instead of hounding everybody to mow it, do this, hey, they own it, get a tractor, that's part of ag. And there's plenty of people that have done, you gotta own what you want,
Right.
or else you're gonna go backwards in life.
Right, and I think, you know, we can, I feel like I'm pretty open to anybody.
Sure.
So,
But I guess that's a fear, nobody knows when all this has to be submitted or done, or, hey, lease it to the whole ag
well,
program.
and we go down, you know, generally it goes down to the staff and everything, things like that.
Sure, sure.
And, usually building maintenance and stuff like that comes through, you know, what we gather from maintenance people or from staff within the district. that sort of
Absolutely.
thing. So like I say, right now is the time where all that's crunching, and so, any of that right now is.
So I guess the best you can advise her, take your kids and your ag program, go look at it and see, you may not be able to do it all in 1 year, but hey, we can get fence, we can get, this is the necessities. And there's plenty of people that have tractors, equipment, and that have donated in the past, so they'll be happy to help you. The phone numbers are easy to find.
Well, we can, I mean, definitely, I'm open to any input on the stuff,
Sure.
and of course, you know, and I'm just one person of.
And you can tell these guys aren't ag guys, they're spreadsheet business
Super
guys.
expensive, we don't get uniforms or anything like that.
Sure.
Before, or we don't get something helping us get Houston, San Antonio, everywhere else, like the rest of the
Absolutely.
athletic.
Well, it's been like that for many years, it's always been like that. Don't say it, ag barn has always been.
It's not good,
Never been good.
but if I wanted to own it, I'd go
Same
over there
for
and
the
find
band.
it.
It's an
You say what you want,
When
it
I was in
happens.
school, it was unbelievable.
Well, that was 1978.
And we're trying to go back there, we're trying to get it back.
And I will say currently, right now, I mean, those are all things that are on the table. Another thing that's been mentioned recently, that I'm working with Mr. Gary on is band uniforms. Can we get that, make that happen?
Those are full.
That's, yeah, it's time, and we're working on that, and I'm doing what I can to get that included in. And I think that's gonna be doable. And, you know, I think what you're talking about is not anything crazy.
Astronomical, I mean,
And so.
let the kids own it, I mean, they gotta have choices.
I think that, and you know, and that go along with, you know, instruction time as well and stuff like that.
Sure.
Seems like to me.
Well, Bill, when y'all hire a ag teacher, if you're gonna do somebody good, they ain't gonna furnish their own truck. Have we thought about this situation?
We've had that discussion.
Because, you know, that comes out of their salary of a payment, they got insurance, all that. You go to all these shows, they ain't driving personal trucks.
In the current ag teacher, we paid a vehicle stipend, paid his fuel, paid his part of his insurance, so. But yes, we
But you
are,
see what I'm
we've got that
saying.
in the works.
We are also one of
Yes, sir.
those school districts, one ag teacher. I know I was talking to Rhodes School Board last week, they're fixing to have 3, they got 2.
Meyer has.
We've got 2.5 coming.
Yeah,
Just
I
tell you
mean,
that.
well, but we had it for years, I mean, it's always been the problem, always.
We got them coming.
Move on to the transportation.
You got a mileage list of all 10 buses and Suburbans. This is the second year. Remember, we got the buses at the spring break over COVID. We got buses and Suburbans that spring, and then we did come back to school. So this is the second year we've used our new buses and Suburbans. Very thankful that we've had those. You know, on days like today when it was really hot, the drivers and students appreciated having those air conditioners. But anyways, all those yellow buses and Suburbans are doing good. We've got 2 of our charters running good. The third one is still in the shop, looking at the engine, trying to get it fixed. So hopefully we have it back going for football season, for football band travel.
Have we tried transferred anything from some of these other schools we've been talking to?
No, and hopefully, you know, we've, some of the work that's been done with them, you know, Mr. Copeland's got some things going on, some that we've had some issues with before, and I think two of them we've got in better shape than they've been in a while, so we're making some headway for sure, it seems like, so if we can get this third one, then we'll be in pretty good shape, but it's always a concern, you never know, you know, they're all expensive and have, you know, much miles on theirs, but.
Our kids travel a lot.
Sometimes you gotta think about, you know, where it's good, putting good money in.
Right, exactly.
We can find some of those schools that are getting ready to trade out to have some great buses. Like we did these.
Personnel report?
But we didn't even get the answer from them. So how did they use the
Moving on
answer?
to action items, approval of the minutes
They got,
of the prior
break
month's
of
meeting.
COVID here.
So we accept, we approve it.
Okay, motion made by Mark, second by Eddie. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Consideration of possible action for election of Board of Trustees officers.
I'll make the motion that we nominate Brad as president.
All right, do we hear a second for that?
Second.
Motion made by Mark, second by Jacob. Brad, your president, all those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Oh, no, you can abstain. 5, all those opposed? 0, abstain. All right, now vice president, do we hear a motion?
Motion to nominate Eddie for vice president. I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Jacob, second by Kevin. Eddie, all those in favor? Okay, 5-0.
Confused what's happening.
Opposed? All those abstain? All right. Secretary.
Make the motion that we pick Mark as secretary.
Okay, motion made by Brad, second by Eddie. All those in favor? 5. All those opposed?
Sustain.
Those abstain. All right, those are our new officers. All right, consider possible action to approve a budget amendment.
Okay, in your packet, there's a budget amendment, that is, it's, keeps our general, it doesn't affect our overall general, fund budget. It just puts money in different places in order to take care of capital projects
From what line items are y'all transferring from,
from multiple line items and
that y'all won't disclose?
no, we can, I mean, there's a bunch, and it's doesn't mean that we're necessarily cutting expenses from anywhere. It's just we're moving.
Well, it means that you've utilized more of one line item, so you're moving around.
Well, actually, what we do, when we're setting up the budget, we budget heavy in the biggest percentage areas. And so, and with that, we've got, in according to the way that we ended last year and some of the expenditures that we had, then we were able to move this year what monies to. And so, and I'll say again on this, is that we're not denying any expenditures that I've known of at this point in time. I haven't seen anything that's been denied, so we're moving some, like I say, into our capital improvements account to take care of our capital.
Any of that in salaries that you're moving up?
No salaries and no supply, general supply budgets for campuses or anything like that. Should not touch a campus at all.
And that's the one she picked.
And again, when we, just I think it's worth mentioning, when we build this new budget, we will, compensation plans and all that stuff are all in there. We won't be lowering any salary budgets.
I would hope there would be some raise.
Right, no, for sure. Surely.
And, I mean, I definitely think some should be needed.
Are these reports public, like financial report?
Yeah.
They are.
And the second item, second page on there, this is just kind of an informational item, but I just wanted to explain to y'all how we are going to manage our projects through the bond expenses. about, y'all approved the first, project of the bond, which is a mobilization and fencing and stuff. Before we make, payments on that, you know, the budget's just gotta be set up for it. You don't approve the budget, you already approved the project. But to let y'all know how that's gonna be, there's a project, and what Craig sent me was a project number 2202. So what I'm gonna try to do is tie a project number to an account code that has the budget for that amount, for that approved project. So that way, as soon as we have expenditures against that project, we know exactly where we're at. At the end of it, we know whether we came in short, you know, it's just gonna divide everything and make sure that we can keep track of every project, every aspect.
Motion to approve the budget.
Motion made by Jacob, second by Mark. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, personnel, consideration of employee contracts and/or employment.
We've got a list of recommendations for new employment. I think we approve those per list.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Kevin, second by Mark. Motion carries 6-0.
And just so everybody in here knows, what we just approved is 2 elementary counselor, middle school counselor, reading ELA, ELAR dyslexia teacher at the middle school, high school science CTE, high school science / ag teacher, trade industrial education teacher at the high school, and a 6th grade ELAR teacher.
Acceptance of resignations.
And again, you've got a list, board members, of the
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation on the list.
Motion made by Brad, second by Eddie. Was it Eddie? Motion carries 6-0.
Who's resigning?
Sure. Michelle Bankston, Kyle Bean, Lori Bean. We have some that are resigning as teachers because they're going to a different job. So Lindsay Copeland resigned as a teacher. She was going to a different job.
counselor.
Yes,
And April Katika, same thing.
yeah. Okay.
My understanding was we had a principal that's resigning.
I don't have a letter from Mr. Quisenberry. He did inform me because
Okay, consider approval of. Somebody say something? Consider approval of district substitute teachers and bus drivers.
got a list of both substitute teachers and bus drivers. It hasn't changed from last week.
Make a motion to accept our list of substitute teachers and bus drivers.
Motion made by Brad, second by Jacob. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, informational items. Enrollment.
Got a list of enrollment. We're sitting at 723 students. We started the year at 725, so we're very close to where we started. Hopefully, improve a little bit over the summer. We'll see.
Y'all gonna be open to transfers for the next school year?
We're open.
TASB convention, September 22nd through 24th.
The school board convention will be in San Antonio this year. It's on September 22nd, 24th. So you put it on the calendars. We'll get more information to you as we get more.
And the 2022 football schedule.
Got a copy of the football schedule. First scrimmage will be August 12th. Home.
All right, we hear a motion to adjourn. Motion by Kevin, second by Jacob. Motion carries 6-0.
On the next meeting, would y'all be willing, to put on the agenda to take from the community, suggestions on a new name for the football field?
I think I got shut down earlier. We never got to the ending of that. What was, I think Mr. Durham was gonna motion it, or asking of it, just got it, I kinda got shut down, so we don't know.
she said they put it on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Did you not say?
Oh, okay, we didn't hear that, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Put on the Is this the only location that this meeting can be held? If we keep having a large group of people?
We can, we've had it here for so long, and one of the things is, this would move it gigantic.
We just wouldn't have the technology over there.
Yeah, for Mr. Moss, it was really done on the,
Would you have it in the cafeteria?
Yeah, we'll project it over there.
We have it right there.
Yeah.
Not as clear.
I think not as clear as there, but a pregnant woman has to stay up for 3 hours, so.
What was the deal with the president thing just now? Did y'all just like elect a new school board president?
Yeah.
After what all those teachers said earlier, y'all in like good faith did that? I mean, that was kinda like spitting in the face of some of these teachers,
Well,
right?
I'm not the president, after.
That's the problem. I mean, all these teachers come in and say he's berating them and all this, and y'all just, I mean, you moved to elect him as school board president. I mean, y'all could have at least, you know, something, I mean, like you, like Mr. Goodgen, your daughter's a teacher, I know that. Imagine if he was going and talking to your daughter the way he's talking to some of these people. You know?
I've never talked to anybody, any man is what you said.
Okay. They're all of them are lying together.
I've never wanted to talk to a teacher that they feel like they're intimidated.
I choose to believe all the teachers.
We've been trying.
We expect some resignations pretty soon. That's all
I'll
I'm
ask you a
saying.
question, man. You said you had no knowledge of him resigning. Why is we posted here that the pre-night position over at 5, 6?
I didn't know, he told me to post it.
So
He hasn't given me a letter of
You have our support.
Yeah, he's informed me that he's
I will
resigned.
do everything in my power to get every single one
But
of
he
y'all
hasn't
out of
given me
this
his
seat.
official letter.
We can't
The
accept
possibility is there's not being honesty. I mean, he just pulled it up. Can y'all not just?
I am being honest, man.
He hasn't offered his
He
resignation.
hasn't given me his letter
But
of
you said it
resignation.
hadn't been posted, but he just.
I never said it hadn't been posted. He has not given me an official letter of resignation,
Why would you post it?
because he's told me he's leaving to
To
take care of our kids.
Post anything until it's official in it.
That's right.
You
We can post it and
But
collect
then you knew
applications.
about it.
I told you I knew about it.
Okay.
Did I not, Ben? I told you he told me he resigned.
You told me that, but whenever I asked if there was gonna be a posting for the job, you said that hadn't been done yet.
I didn't hear you say that. Yes, the job is posted. We can collect applications. Yes, ma'am, I didn't hear her ask me that. So we can collect applications. We don't have to hire anybody just because we collect applications. So he did inform me
So
that.
when you've been saying that you don't have to hire anybody, does that mean that you already know who you're moving up within?
No, I don't.
Well, I mean, that's the only way I can figure if you're not, you know, if you're gonna take applications, but you don't have to hire anybody, to me, that says.
But if he didn't leave, then we didn't hire anybody, is what I'm saying.
Right.
We can collect applications because he's informed me that he's leaving. He has not given me his official letter. The Canadian School Board is leading, is hiring, is meeting tonight.
Right.
And so he's not gonna give me his letter of resignation until they approve it, just so he can make sure he has a job.
Right.
So that's why it's not in the minutes, because I don't have a letter.
Is there any way the closed meeting can be moved to the end, to spare Craig Wallace, or whatever his name is, and all of us
Yeah.
waiting for an hour and a half to get back in?
I don't even think we're supposed to be having this conversation.
Well,
Put it on the agenda.
We're past all that.
Put it on the agenda.
Well, no,
We're past all that.
Laws around this. We're a forum, we're all just sitting in this room.
Oh, I'm sure there's been laws skipped a long time ago, so I think we can pass that.
We're just trying.
Well, I have a question.
So Mark, can it be on the agenda, or how do we get it on the
We can
agenda?
move it
for
around, we can move it around.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we've already moved it around for this meeting to try to, the format in front of we can move it around. It's not
I guess he just told me he was
If someone resigns, you just play musical chairs? Is that how it works? Wait, why wasn't there a vote on that?
None of them are. She's got a wedding.
They're not.
She just, wait, she's not.
She's got a wedding.
President, but she's still gonna be on board. Okay, well, that would announce
Sorry, I didn't have a question.
I gotta hug your mom. How are y'all?